All right, everybody, welcome back to the Modern Nerd. Here we are, not in the same room this time, and here we go. I want to do a preface. Anybody who watched the last YouTube or caught us on their favorite place to catch your podcasts would have noticed that we definitely had some missing audio last week or last whenever the hell I posted the episode, and that's gonna be my bad. My bad. We
No, that's mine.
didn't see the microphone, and so it was not added to our second scene. And yeah, it's mostly points that George was making. You are just gonna miss them. He's got some
That's fine.
great points, but it's just this.
No points.
Nothing.
That's all right.
So, we apologize for our technical difficulties. I wanted to post it anyway because it was the first time we were together in a while. So, anyway, welcome back. Thanks for coming. And we're going to discuss a couple things that happened recently. We got the new Matrix, Matrix 4, Matrix, was it Resurrections, and Hawkeye. So, with that being said, and we're gonna have a little ending where we're gonna kind of maybe discuss favorite movie of 2021, least favorite movie of 2021, and one we really didn't expect, something that we liked, but we're like, I didn't expect to like that as much as I did. So look forward to that. And if you are listening, then feel free to comment your favorites, and we'll go ahead and discuss those as well if they come up. Otherwise, let's start with the Matrix. Why not? We'll revisit it.
Sure.
Resurrect the
Go
Matrix
back to where it all
conversation.
began.
Oh my
Back
god!
to the Matrix.
It did
Back
all
to the
begin
Matrix.
Dude,
a
that was
whole
like
long time
too
ago.
meta. It was too meta, man.
Yeah. So
we're just gonna go right in, huh? Okay.
I mean,
All right.
when do we ever not do that?
Okay.
So basically,
right for the
let's-
jugular. I love
let's
it.
do it. I'll do a short recap here. So basically, it was the first movie, but it was also talking about the first movie and the rest of the movies. So he was after the third one. They decided that let's resurrect Neo and Trinity, and so now they're both in the Matrix and don't know they're in the Matrix, but they're a little older and they're separated and they have regular lives. And he made a video game called The Matrix that was basically the first three movies, and then they're trying to get them back together. Well, because reasons, I guess. There's no real reason why they did it. There's no threat.
Reasons.
Nobody's attacking them. There's no war. There's nothing happening. But like, I guess let's take Neo out of the Matrix, and then people get upset about it, and then there's Smith, but there's not Smith, and there's Morpheus, but there's not Morpheus, and then there's Trinity, but Tiffany, and so they just kind of meander through the same story they did the first time, and end it on the same thing, but with two people. So that was the Matrix Resurrections, ladies and gentlemen. I saw the movie.
Could have skipped it.
I saw it. That's my review.
It was a movie.
It was a movie. And yeah, it happened. It's a thing they did. Now I can see what they were trying to do. And I really would love to like this movie a lot more than I did, but I can't. It ended with a cliffhanger, I guess. It ended literally the same way the first one did. And so you're like, does that mean they're gonna do more of this? Is that what's happening here? Like, I don't.
Please no.
There was no real good action in the movie. I guess
that cliffhanger is just like, man, I'm just like, stop.
For a franchise that was made for cliffhanger, for action, I mean,
Yeah, it was very slow. It's time to hang up the leather anything and everything.
I love to make the joke of, so you live to die another day. They brought this horse back to life so they could beat it to death again.
Okay.
Clear, clear, beat. Like, it's just.
I'm not giving up. Yep. Yeah.
Smirch.
I don't know. Time to give up. What's up?
You were saying about meta.
I mean, okay. Let's talk about the whole the Matrix video game series that Mr. Anderson was working on throughout this whole thing, and the constant comments that flow through everyone, just essentially could be commenting on the Matrix trilogy, the movie, and I'm just kind of like, is this happening? That was kind of cool, but it was almost like I mean, at least they leaned into it, like they didn't half-ass it. So I like that about it. But
Like, did they
and
just
I
say Warner Brothers? Like, what the fuck?
straight up.
They called
like,
themselves Overlords. It was funny.
They might have as well have made eye contact with the camera. Like it was just such a it was a unique experience on that front. And I gotta say, I'm a bit of a sucker for those kinds of things, so I did appreciate that. But I don't know about you guys, it felt like two movies to me. I guess I was just used to like the original trilogy. It's like the first part is getting him, like the whole him processing reality and then getting out and then another movie to get Trinity. And I don't know about you guys. My heart was just not in it toward the end of that movie. It just, that horse been dead, man, and you're just
I want to
remaking
say
pulp.
like a quick little funny quip about that, about being so meta. It's so meta that literally,
How meta is it?
Keanu Reeves was just recently tied to a video game franchise that like might have destroyed a company. That's how meta it is. He sold his image to a game that was been hyped for over a decade, and then the game, let's just say, underdelivered. And
That's
he's never going to go near it again, probably ever in his life.
Probably not.
No.
Anything like that, which is sad because he's a pretty cool guy.
He is.
I think they had an opportunity here to really kind of do something different with the franchise, and they did. They could have done a passing of the torch or something, but it just they said it in the movie. They're like, we're just kind of doing it.
I can't tell.
It's a cash grab.
Yeah, I can't tell if they like tried too hard to create a new kind of Matrix, or they didn't try hard enough. Whatever it was, it didn't feel like it landed. But yeah, what are you gonna do? I mean, you can't just have them come back to the Matrix. They wanted the star power to somehow just bring back Trinity and Neo, so they had to like come up with all these reasons as to why they're back, and that kind of like watered down the whole plot. And what do? You can't just redo the Matrix.
You know what?
Complaining.
I think they had a good shot here because the original plan for the Matrix was to make a neural network out of the humans and put them in a pod so that they could do all that. And because it was supposed to be a play on the internet, which at 1999, nobody knew how that was going to play out. So it would have been much better then, but you could have reset and do your original kind of story, because if you break down the original 3 trilogies, it doesn't make any sense. Like why they kept humans in pods as batteries when if they just built higher than the clouds, you have solar power again. So, you know what I mean? So it's just kind of like, what?
We don't talk about that.
Yeah. So, you could have had the opportunity to kind of do something more and be like, oh, the Matrix is no longer about power and providing power for the universe. We've redone it and created a neural network that is self-sustaining, that is more intricate than the internet could ever be, because it's run off of a human mind and the synapses can fire so much faster than any bandwidth. And we've created like all of this. And then they just give us, oh, if these two get really close together, there's a sparky explosion. Like, it made
not explained at all, just
whatsoever. And it's like, that he can do all kinds of action scenes. They're like, no, let's just have him push things with his mind and make force fields. Like, it's cool the first few times,
I suppose,
but it's just they're riding on the motorcycles. Doosh, doosh,
I don't know.
Doosh.
I mean, they had on the first movie. They had the legendary fight choreographer Yun Mo Ping, and I don't know if he did this movie. So that's kind of like, that's pretty much it. You can't rely on. I'm gonna confirm that he wasn't in this before I start talking more trash about this movie.
I mean, you could have given me a little bit more about these other characters. You had some interesting ones for a second, and then
I want to bring this to my favorite point, and that is the Rogue One experience.
Oh, Jesus.
And I will say this reminds me of the first Star Wars back, you know? Like Star Wars, like
okay, sure, yeah.
like when they reboot the franchise, kind of.
Yeah,
it
but
has that feel to it.
Except Star Wars didn't even do anything differently. They just
what is it? Star Wars Force Unleashed?
Yeah,
is that what it's called?
Force Awakens.
Force Awakens. Force Awakens.
Force Unleashed was that kind of
video
cool
game. Okay, the Force Awakens. It reminds me of Force Awakens, right? Because it's literally like the same movie as the first one, almost in many ways, and in the sense of like, the kind of get you out of your, headspace kind of movie idea, with it being so meta. And at the time, Matrix was kind of meta. You can understand like being an office worker back in the day, and then I don't know, the monotony of life of the 90s. I can understand that. So
yeah,
like that essentially it's that's where it ranks. If wherever you put Force Awakens in your list of Star Wars movie is where I can kind of put this too, in the sense of like the plot and what it was trying to attempt to do. You know what I'm saying?
I'll watch Force Awakens again. I won't watch this again.
A lot of that also is like they did a good job. Do you know what I'm saying? Like they did a good job of it. That's why Star Wars did a somewhat good job of it, because they introduced characters that were new that you liked.
Let's be clear
that's what Matrix is missing, right? Like Matrix didn't try that hard to invest in anyone new.
To me, it's different though, because Matrix didn't have a 3-part prequel series that was awful. To me, The Force Awakens was more or less like, we're sorry.
A palate cleanser.
Please come to pay money to see more movies again. We messed up. And so they just like did everything like exactly linear. They did it the exact same plot. It was exact same everything. And everyone's like, yeah, it was good. It's proving that Star Wars fans just want the same thing over again. And so I at least the Matrix, though, I would rather agree.
Here's my fun question is if in that meta scene when they were like coming up with ideas and like spitballing ideas as to what they were going to do, with all the devs and stuff like that, like I could imagine like the three of us being in that room trying to like throw things at the wall to try to make it work, like
Say bullet time one more time. Say it again. Say bullet time.
It's such a like you totally like you can imagine being in that room.
Like, do we really want to bring this back to life again? I don't think this is gonna work. And it didn't. At least they tried something different, whilst trying to stay in the same universe. I'll give them credit there, but it just it didn't land. And there's not much. What else can you say? Why did Trinity fly? How did she? Why was what?
I don't know.
I think the answer is I don't know and I don't care. That's just the way it is.
I will bring back one thing also is the first Matrix, obviously a lot of people really liked, and the last three, I guess people are not going to enjoy as much, but I will say that the Matrix did have a really great thing, and that was the Animatrix, which actually did a really good job of building on the world of the Matrix. That's
100% true.
The only reason why I kind of wanted to watch what was going on here is because I like the world that they built around actually the Animatrix, just the history part of it, the 2-part history part of it, explaining how like the rise of the machines, that was like done by some of the best animators. And the collection is done by such a wide range of different types of animators, from Western to Eastern, all around the globe style of animation. So I like, if you really enjoy and you want to dive deeper into this world, like, you don't need to watch this new one. Learn more about it by watching that. It's a really great collection of short animated films.
Hell, those 2 video game tie-ins were excellent, especially for their time.
I kind of remember that actually. I remember you guys playing that. I never played it though.
They had the one where it was like you played ancillary characters, like you played Jada Pinkett Smith's character and did that. But then you also had one where you were Neo, and it was an in between. I think one of the 2 of the movies.
I think I watched you guys play it. Do you go into the power plant? Like, is it like this?
Yeah.
There's a part where you go into the power plant. I think I remember watching you guys play it.
A really good video game.
Yeah,
I thought that was
good. That was a good one.
I think it was driving on a motorcycle and shooting with a Uzi too, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, you did that because it was part of their thing. It was and then Animatrix was solid.
And and Ghost was the other character you could play in Enter the Matrix, and he was supposed
Mhm.
to have a more
Oh,
prominent
that's
role
right,
in
Ghost.
the
Oh my
second
god.
in the second Matrix movie, but almost all of his scenes were cut, so he's just
Yeah.
like barely in it and just talking
Yeah,
to.
and then
Did you know that Black Manta was in this movie?
Which
the
who's
guy
Black
from
Manta again?
Aquaman?
Yeah, the guy from Aquaman. Manta. The guy who played Manta in
Who-
Aquaman.
What's his?
He's fucking Morpheus.
Oh, he's in a lot lately.
I just didn't realize it was he looks so different, like shaved head, he's not as built and muscular.
Why bring back Morpheus if it's not more? That was a lame. That was
There's a weird like
It's
oxymoron
like
of a Morpheus.
you get these moments of like, oh, this is a really cool concept, and then it's just like, it's like who wrote this? Lana and someone else wrote this, and they were kind of just like, yeah, this is a cool concept, but we don't know what to do with it. We'll just kind of shoehorn it in here and move on. And I was just like,
at that point, come up with different characters. It would have been just
Yeah.
it just would have been
Bugs was cool, I mean,
Sure,
it
yeah.
could have been better. I mean, cool
not
is
a lot
a
of
strong
development
word.
there, but
Yeah. It's
I
funny to
like-
see the cast. Did anybody watch Sense8?
I didn't actually.
I did
was
watch
excellent.
Sense8.
Watch it, actually.
It's funny
Well,
because
like
you get
Sense8.
the cop that was from Chicago in there in her show, because it was the Wachowskis that did Sense8, and then you've
I
got
don't know if I've seen it.
2 or 3 of the actors from Sense8 are in this movie, and I was like, oh, cool. Like it was weird for me to see that because I was like, all I can see is this Sense8 thing, which I thought was an awesome concept, and given more time would have been way cooler of a thing to do than this. Yeah, I mean, I wanted to like this. I really did.
Me
I
too.
knew I wasn't going to, but I wanted to, and I just kept being like,
Action was good.
why is John Wick just kind of walking around most of this movie? I really didn't even think the action was good. I didn't.
Oh,
It just
okay.
kind of
That's fair.
felt
I wasn't
choppy
bothered
and-
by him not being in. I don't think it like was a huge. I get it that that's what part of made the first one good, but I think it was fine action wise. And
I think
him not,
it's
like,
I think it's funny they
getting
decided to
crazy
add a zombie mode. I was like, oh, okay.
That wasn't a
So
thing.
this is
These people
that
that
kind of thing.
Whoosh.
I was
And then like
oh,
the kamikazes.
like they also have watched The Happening. Good for them.
Yeah, I was like,
that part was, I thought it was funny.
It was something
Um,
to behold, I guess.
Yeah, I was like, oh, look at that.
Yeah.
I just wish that some of his he developed new powers, I guess, and I was like, cool, develop them further, like progress the character. You had 0 character progression for anybody,
I
in my
thought
opinion.
I
You
thought the
started
only
with, "Whoa,"
interesting
and ended
thing
with whoa.
the only interesting thing, I guess, what they were trying to like get you to like, if they were gonna make more of these afterwards, is like the only thing that I kind of more curious about, I guess, is the world building. Is like, why was there like a civil war with the robots? I guess it's because there wasn't energy, and the more about that.
Yeah, I
And
want
then also
that movie,
can you
man.
explain
Like,
that? And then also like, why did
So
like
cool.
what is the benefit of this new place where humans live to like welcome in robots, and how are those robots getting their power? How is Zion even powered? Like, that's my
Not
question.
Zion anymore.
Or Io,
It's
where's Io
Io.
getting its power then? Is it like they've never really
Right.
explained that? Like
they had a
Where
lot
was
to do
Zion
in
getting
this
its
movie,
power in the
man.
first place?
they say it's from the Earth's core, so you're telling me there's like geothermal energy from the core. Okay, that's fine. And you're saying there's enough for like you to just invite friendly robots in any day.
I
Then
mean,
like, what's the
guys,
fucking problem?
I mean, we're literally like their plate was over. There was I think you could look at it as 6 acts in this movie, and they had too much to do, and anything that we didn't get was a result of them.
I know, it's so sad.
Essentially, in my opinion, cramming 2 movies.
I thought it was cool that robots lived among them. Don't get me wrong, I'm not against that
Yeah.
idea. I'm pro life, intelligent life, living together. It doesn't matter what kind of thing
I
you
liked
are,
that.
really, honestly. Because you
That was
don't
one of the
start
few things I
treating
really
things
liked.
like that, you're gonna be, extinct any day of the week now.
A
Like,
much more interesting aspect of this movie.
yeah, I think it's much more interesting to discover the society they've created, and they need to delve more deeper into that. And the second thing is, I thought it was a really cool idea that they used like essentially Matrix code of like records of like plant animals plants life that had been extinct, and they use that to use proteins. And that's actually kind of like something that's possible now with the idea of like 3D printing, right? Imagine if you can actually 3D print protein sequences into a genome and create a seed of something that was extinct, and like imagine that, and then instead of that, it's like a sperm and an egg of an extinct animal.
I'm good.
I
lost
like
me there. No,
oh no,
but you know what I'm saying, like DNA coding.
George, but like, do you understand that like audiences would be like, "What the fuck is this? I want the Matrix. I want action." And everyone already complained hardcore about all the scenes in Zion.
I know, it's so sad.
Because it was
so sad.
not what they were used to. So it's like they can't give us that much. They gotta give us little tidbits here and there, and then back to the Matrix is really how it's gonna go.
To the Matrix.
So, I'm with you though. I would like to see a movie about just that area and that land.
Shout out to the. I mean, I know probably people are not going to care much, but he's the new Agent Smith. I'm a fan of the new Agent Smith. He's also from the Frozen.
From the Frozen. He's what's his name? He's
a really talented guy. I mean, like, I understand he probably, was like, all right, I'll get paid to do this, but like,
I mean, he's in one of my favorite shows of all time, in Mindhunter, which
and he's in Glee too,
which is that, and Glee, and he's the original King of England, right? And in the musical Hamilton.
Oh yeah.
He's great.
He's great.
But, he's I don't know what I was expecting. I think maybe I was spoiled by. One of the few good things about the third Matrix was that guy who his mind was taken over by Agent Smith. Whoever that was did such a good impression of Hugo Weaving that I am spoiled. Anyone trying to be Agent Smith after that point
is not going to work.
Never going to be as good because that guy killed it. So it's too bad. Well, you shouldn't have had Agent Smith. Shouldn't have Morpheus. Move on.
The Matrix has the same problem that Star Wars does. They have a Skywalker problem where they just keep revolving the story around 2 to 4 fucking characters, and there's no progression, and everybody's like, I don't care. Give me something different. You'll never give me something different if you base everything around the same 2 people. You can only tell so many stories with so many characters before it becomes outdated, outmoded, and you just become tired of it. So I think the moral of the story is you can skip this one, ladies and gentlemen.
If you're interested, you can maybe watch it, but it's not something you have to see.
If you're a fan of the Matrix,
did anybody pay to watch this movie?
No.
No, exactly.
God, no.
I mean, we paid monthly, but
this wasn't completely awful. I
didn't go see it in the theaters. No,
I still stand firm that it was better than the third Matrix, in my opinion.
Yeah,
but not saying much.
It's not. All right, so let's move on to topic number 2. Hawkeye. It was the 4th Marvel television show on Disney Plus. I'm gonna say this is the first one that I didn't enjoy as much. I liked aspects of it, but my overview is I just kept waiting for something to fucking happen. Nothing happened for the first 4 episodes. Nothing. Nothing.
That's not true. The 3rd episode, something happened, like the action. At least there was that.
Sure, but there was like very little story progression over 3 episodes. I'm like, if you're gonna do that, and you're gonna if you're gonna give me character, give me character. You didn't even really give me character in the first 3 episodes. You gave me this weird kind of bonding between these 2, and I'm like, they're okay, but is this happening? I like both of them. I don't think they work well. I don't think they have good chemistry on screen. I like her portrayal of Kate. I know a lot of people don't. I like it. I don't really have much of a problem with it. It's a newer character anyway, so I'm fine with it.
Fine. It's not
Hawkeye.
It's the show. It's a weird kind of juxtaposition that everything just kind of like. I mean, look, they've done this before, throwing characters together and just kind of being like, "Oh, we're a team now." But I don't know, something about this one just felt even less. Yeah, it's something about this just felt, I don't know, more thrown together. usual. But that's not to say it didn't have its merit.
Yeah.
I think there were good parts about it.
Yeah.
Just overall, yeah, I would agree.
It yeah, wasn't my favorite. I was wanting to like this one a lot. Again, same thing as Matrix. I really wanted to like this one a lot more than I did.
It was
George?
nice to have something lighter,
Yeah. True. Christmas time. It's a nice thing for the holidays, I guess.
a little comedy.
George?
George?
I will say, like, you know how it is. Like, they every single thing that Marvel does is like the Marvel take on a certain genre. This is their take on the Christmas, like, Die Hard
Buddy
movie.
cop.
There's no like buddy cop
Falcon.
comedy. Like, that's what it is. And in many ways, it's a passing of the torch because he doesn't want to do this forever.
Yeah.
Like, I'm surprised he came back for this, to be honest. Like,
Apparently he wasn't a joy to work with either on this one.
oh,
He
sad.
doesn't look like he is.
No, he
No,
does
that's-
not
not
look
that I
like
would
he's
know,
a
but-
joy to work with. But
Yeah.
you know, I've always enjoyed him as Hawkeye. It's not, he's never been my favorite character or my favorite portrayal of a character. He's been good for the Marvel, the MCU. I've liked the comic book versions way more, especially the version that this was kind of based off of. Like that run, David Aja, AJA. I can't remember how to pronounce his last name. I've only seen it written. It was a fantastic run. And if there's two people involved in the book, and I'm forgetting one, and it was excellent. And you know they did all right, bringing it to the screen. You know, there was definitely points in the beginning that just kind of were like, I don't know why you did that. Like, it was a weird introduction for Lucky. That was for the dog. That was I was
Dude,
like, kind of wedged that in there.
Oh man, those first two episodes
Yeah.
were some of the worst things Marvel has put out.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
I barely made it through. Only because only because George told me who shows up later on. Was I have the power
Yeah.
to carry on and it eventually did turn. Third episode opened up
Say
with a
that,
bang.
Dan. Say that
And-
again. You may have dropped out.
You dropped out a little.
Oh, I did. Okay. I was just saying that third episode, they turned it around by that third episode, and I must say, it's interesting. You can tell that there wasn't one person running this. Those first two episodes, just felt disjointed, and you're like, I just found myself saying, why is she doing this? Okay, she's putting on the costume. She's fighting these guys now. And then this dog shows up, and she just literally, her ADD just kicked in, and she just chases the dog away for no discernible
Typical
reason.
boomer.
And
No,
I'm
not
just
boomer,
like,
typical Zoomer.
okay, sure. I had turned it off, but I was just like, what is happening? And then you have in the first 4 minutes of episode 3, you get more character development and likability from this character Maya that they're introducing out of the last 2 episodes entirely for Kate Bishop. There was more character development and likability given to Maya in 4 minutes than there were in 2 whole episodes for Kate Bishop. Where has this person been making this episode for I don't know. I was like, if they can do this with this side character, where has been that sort of commitment to Kate Bishop? I was
Well,
very
she's getting
confused
her
by
own spin-off, that's why.
Okay, I find myself. It's hard to root for rich kid who's I guess her dad died. That sucks. But so has every single Disney, like Disney protagonist we've ever seen. I don't know.
And
I
parents,
was being,
you're a Disney star.
yeah. I'm being harsh, and I understand, but I accept my roles. I wasn't gonna watch it. I got through. I literally watched the last episode minutes before we started to.
And
He's
we
heated.
will get to that because I want that last episode. Last 2 are really the only ones worth talking about. But I want to
Sure.
recap a little because Maya Lopez. Did I give her the name Lopez in the TV show?
I don't know.
Maya is a
Echo.
character that is Echo, which I've heard of, and it took me a minute to be like, I don't know who the fuck that is. Like, it just didn't click for
She
like
gets her own
another
spin-off.
another episode or 2. Yeah. Because
I mean,
she's
it's
actually she's a young Avenger at one point.
This is the
and
payoff.
so-
Let's be honest, okay? The idea of having you watch this is purely to set up anything, new characters, right? And the payoff is that this is gonna reintroduce a world that I think the three of us really, really enjoy, and that's like the Netflix, like with like Daredevil and Punisher and things like that. Like it'll take. Hopefully, this is the road that leads back to that.
Okay. Well, if we're gonna
this is what you gotta go through to get to that. Okay, I'm okay paying the toll. Do you know what I'm saying? Right, I'm okay.
I want to get there. Hold on, we'll get there. Give me a second. I want to talk about the other things before we get to that, because that is the meat and potatoes of what we're going to talk about here.
Yeah. Yep.
So, but Maya, fun little thing for me. I am listening to a Spider-Man book because I discovered they wrote books about Spider-Man. I was like, oh fuck it, I'll listen to these things. And Maya, the same exact character, is in this book. I was like, what the fuck? This is hilarious. Turns out I'm listening to the official prequel to the Spider-Man video game that they did, the 2018 one.
Really?
Yeah, and I was like, oh, cool. So this is all going to tie in.
Mean it's one of the greatest Spider-Man stories ever told?
Yes. Yeah. And so, and I was like, so when they dropped Maya in the show, I was introduced to Maya in this book. I'm like, who is this? I'm like, what is happening here? Like, and I didn't know Echo's name was Maya because I wasn't as familiar with the character, but then I finally got to know it a little bit more. And I was like, oh, this is going to be a very fun character. So I'm excited to see what they do with her. I do want to bring up something else that I kind of was like, before we get to that last episode, was Vera Farmiga as the mom. Yeah. Like, so
what happened?
If you noticed, they never had a full conversation that went anywhere. None of them went anywhere. They just were like, I have a problem, blah blah blah. Well, we're going to talk about work and we're going to do the other thing. I have a problem. We're going to talk about. I'm like, you just the whole time. Yeah. There's nothing.
Again, not really her fault, but still.
And she's I love her as an actress. She's done some powerhouse roles, and I was like, oh my god,
that's a potted.
Right, and she was in the Up in the Air. Mm-hmm. With and
Clooney.
It was good in that. I mean, it's not like a super powerful role, but I mean, there was a bunch.
I really saw her, and I thought she was great.
Yeah. She's been in a few other things too that I really enjoyed, and so I was like, okay, cool, another underutilized character and actor in this show. I before we get to the elephant in the room, I want to talk about Yelena because she was my favorite part of Black Widow by far. And she's my favorite part of the show. I mean, their chemistry was excellent.
It was
great. They had fantastic. That's the chemistry I was waiting for.
You say their chemistry. It was Yelena's chemistry. Like
she's just great, amazing.
She's so good, dude.
It was great, funny, witty.
But it worked. I look forward to more actions.
Dan's like, man, a girl after my own heart. Well, that's Sriracha.
She put a lot of sriracha in there.
She's put a lot of sriracha. I hope she didn't actually that wasn't real sriracha, and she didn't have to because she just
she can just be built like that. I don't know.
Oh, maybe if she was the crying scene right afterward.
Missed it again. You keep breaking out.
I would say maybe if there was a crying scene right after that, she had.
Yeah, there you go.
But otherwise, yeah.
That's part of the show, in my opinion. I agree.
Yeah.
She's just fun. I mean, it doesn't make sense why she's so friendly towards Kate at all. But honestly, I didn't care.
I think she sees Kate as kind of
had respect for her.
Not even respect, but she just thought that Kate was cute. It's like fighting a child. You're like, okay, that's great. You're put down your bow and arrow before you hurt yourself. You're gonna poke your own eye out with that. Just no, we're not doing that. No,
I will say
it's like a frisky dog. You're like, no, we're not doing that. No, down. That's pretty much it.
There was some fun action and pretty well choreographed fight scenes. Not like anything I'm going to be like, this was the best ever. But yeah, I was like, it was better than The Matrix for me. And yeah, so one of the other big plot holes is is there just still a giant fucking arrow in the Brooklyn Bridge? Did anybody get that out? That's not a small thing. That's a hole in the bridge. Anyway,
the pin particles just wear off after a time period, and it's down.
I read an article, and I don't know how much I'm going to put into this, but they were talking about how actually Hawkeye is doing more for Ant-Man than anybody else because a lot of the gadgets and gear were, you had several different Pym particle things, and it was him kind of going like, he's like, how does this work? He's like, I don't know. But like, where did he get them? Like, is he given these after? Is it pulled out of the rubble? Is he still talking to Ant-Man? Is he talking to what's his name? So there's a little bit there. But then someone was like, the importance of the after credit scene and why Ant-Man is in it, because it's like, oh, he's going to be more predominantly featured in Phase 4 than in, and I'm like, all right, maybe cool, more
Wait.
Paul Rudd. I'm okay with that.
Wait, what?
So in the
I must have missed
no, you see a little bit of it in the beginning, and they talk about it in the first episode of, he's like, I don't even know why Ant-Man was there. He wasn't there, but he's in the musical that they put on in the first episode.
No, that's so funny. That's true.
So that's supposedly, and I don't know that this comes from a reliable source, but it was like, supposedly that they're like, oh, that they're trying to say Ant-Man's going to be more predominantly featured going forward. Like, people in the MCU, the civilians like Ant-Man, so they're like, let's put him in, and so you're going to actually see maybe more Ant-Man in a more important role. I was like, he had a pretty decent sized role in Endgame, if you ask me.
He had the role besides the rat.
So that. All right, so we got basically the first 4 episodes covered with those conversations. And then you've got the end of episode 5, where you finally sort of realize that her mom is the one that is, well, everybody realized it, but she kind of realizes that her mom is the bad guy and was hired, which I don't know that this makes any sense, but hired Yelena through Kingpin. I don't know. We can get to that. Through Kingpin. So you finally get to see Vincent D'Onofrio again in the MCU as like the best character he's ever played, and well, arguably one of the strongest characters he's played. And he is a little different than we last saw him, a little less put together of a Kingpin. He's kind of a little bit more rageful, which
Fall
is a
from
Kingpin
grace.
I've seen. Yeah. And I've seen this Kingpin in the comics and everything, and this is what the duality of Kingpin is. He's battling his inner rage. That's like drives him. So it was kind of cool to see that kind of, he's not as in control, especially towards the end when in episode 6 when he's fighting and just kind of just using brute strength and everything. And he was excellent. It was good to see him again. I'm glad they did it, and spoilers, which way too late for that. At the end of the episode 6, Maya catches him in an alley after he's been essentially blown up by some arrows, which I was like, yeah, he could survive. I'm fine with that. And then it cuts to Maya, and she's holding a gun to his head, and it cuts off screen, gunshot. So, off screen, only hearing noises. I don't think he's dead. I think he's coming back.
Of course he is.
Which, this isn't Tom Hardy. You're not gonna just bring back Vincent D'Onofrio.
Let me get up my nerd rage button. Like,
can I make a prediction?
I disagree.
About that?
I think it was not good, and I think he wasn't that great, and I would think he wasn't utilized well, and I'm all kinds of upset about the whole fucking thing because I have high respect and praise for him and his portrayal. Sorry, go ahead.
Smirch is feels debated. He feels like he's been duped. I can understand that.
I feel like I kind of, part of me is like, I hope it's revealed that just wasn't the Kingpin, that was someone else, pretending to be him, because I get that you can't really build the air of that he established for himself in the Netflix series. But the only thing that maybe I'll build a theory that it wasn't really him. Why was his eyelid twitching time? Maybe that's just him. Maybe something else is going on underneath. Maybe it was a scroll trying real hard to flex to keep the big size and shape of the Kingpin. I don't know. I think he did such a good job, and I am just going to pretend that he is not dead because I'm pretty sure that's the case. Because if they brought him back to die in this show, I am upset. That would be a huge disservice to the actor, to the character. And I am in nerd rage mode as I am fresh from watching that episode.
I will say
don't-
this.
Go ahead.
Like, I think, like, that's the idea, is that, like, I think it's literally, like, I can see the Echo series picking up right from that moment of, like, the alley. And, like,
Yeah.
you know, and who knows, maybe it's a little baton stick that knocks into her hand and the gun flies out and Kingpin gets away or some sort. Who knows? Maybe that's like I'm excited for the things that this show has like set up for the future. Whether that's Yelena, whether that's Kate Bishop, whether that's Echo, whether that's more Kingpin, and now we've seen Daredevil already. It's so fun because it coincided the same week that, like, if you watched it live, you know, it was a great kind of lead into what you were about to see in Spider-Man. So you were like, holy fucking shit, the same week we get Kingpin, we also get Daredevil. So, like, being able to feel that hype in theaters was, like, really exciting, you know? And you're like, holy shit, like, this is, like, and you're like, because I really think, you know, say what you want maybe about, like, Iron Fist or, like, the Defenders, but, like, I really thought each one of those Marvel Netflix shows had an identity of its own that was, like, really, really individual and great, you know? And you guys both, I know, love Daredevil. I think both of you said Daredevil is your favorite because it created such an interesting world in its own and set up such a great job for the other two successful franchises, which was, you know, Luke Cage and Jessica. And, like, Luke had a vibe of its own that I think a lot of people could relate to, especially at that time. It was very poignant, you know?
Don't forget the Punisher.
Yeah, and then the Punisher, of course, which is, like...
Good. Ooh, are
Like,
we gonna see John Bernthal?
I think we are. I think it's confirmed.
he has to.
Yeah.
Like, he's so
He made it his
valuable
own.
of a character. And same thing with, like, Jessica, that I don't see how they don't have that eye on the ball. Like, you know.
Give us a real Defenders. None of this Netflix bullshit.
Yeah.
Now, okay. So to Dan's point, I love, obviously, that portrayal of Kingpin. It was amazing. You know, it's like they pulled it off the page of a specific run, and it was excellent. Now, this Kingpin is just another side of him, and he's historically been a very hot-headed character behind the scenes. So, like, when he's not making a public appearance, he is like he's less refined. He has his moments. He'll talk through everything. He'll be a businessman and conduct business. But if somebody says something or does something he doesn't like, he is not wrong. He will be the one to literally rip your fucking head off. And you know, so it was interesting that they gave us that version for, like, one episode where you get to see him a little less in control, a little less, you know, sort of in there and together and faced with the reason that scene hits home. And I don't know, how much do you want, Dan? I don't, you know,
Give it all to me, man.
so
'Cause I'm gonna speculate after.
this is about Maya and him. He adopted her.
Yeah, the idea is
Essentially.
he adopted her.
Not I don't know if it was legally, but he saved her. He took her off the streets after her dad died, but obviously she doesn't know that it was her, whatever. So like he raised her and kind of made her who she is, got her into her hyper focus, taught her, trained her, got her all these different people to help her be a fighter, and like tapped into that ability of hers to echo everything she sees. That's her ability, is whatever fighting she sees, she will mimic. Not Taskmaster, who will see and can do those things, but can counter and learn it. But like she will move like the person. If she's studying Spider-Man, she'll be able to move like Spider-Man. Whereas Taskmaster will know what Spider-Man's going to do and be able to go and like learn his fighting style and counter it. So it's a little different. So it makes it more interesting for me, knowing that it's like she's a bigger part of his life than we even know at that point in time when she's pointing the gun at him. So
yeah,
it makes it why he lets his guard down a little bit more and is less Kingpin and more almost fatherly. I watched the scene like a week and a half ago, so it's not as fresh in my mind as you, but it
I
did
mean, you can
seem
see it. It makes sense now. What you're saying because it was
yeah,
like, "I love you," and I'm
yeah,
like, "Wow, okay, that makes sense now."
yeah.
I
So it
think
was.
like
Go
she
ahead.
has like a lot of history also with Daredevil, obviously, because it's such a great juxtaposition of the two different, types of people, and the one who can't hear and one who can't see, and how the two interact and how they are able to combat each other and also kind of work together is going to be interesting to see, because there's no question in my mind when they do an Echo series, there's no question in my mind they have to have Daredevil. It just like
I don't know that they're going to do it that way because they changed the origins so much that it might focus more around her in the beginning. It's most likely going to be her in the beginning recreating the Ronin suit and rocking that for a little while, and then becoming Echo. Maybe they do. Maybe they do bring it in because it is the Kingpin, and it would make sense. No, you're right. I take it back. It would make more sense if they put Daredevil in there as a stronger presence as
yeah,
opposed
we
to
already know he's coming
throwing him
back
into a
also
movie
apparently
first.
for I think he's gonna, because like She-Hulk is supposed to be like a semi-legal
Yep.
drama, so
Yep.
like we already know there's that huge possibility that I mean, I don't
They
see why
dated.
he's gonna come, he's gonna show up in there. So what's interesting is it's like um the way that television, I think, in Marvel's like eyes has always been, and also ABC and Disney in general, has that Marvel television for them has always been more of like, they consider themselves like a boardwalk, right? So like, if you've ever gone to the boardwalk, there's like a stretches of little stands before like the bigger rides, right? Like whether that's like you want to go on a giant Ferris wheel or roller coaster. So like Agents of Shield, which was like the only show that was on for Marvel for a long time, always thought of themselves as like, we're the boardwalk that you like tread along before like the big ride. And and it's always been fun as a Marvel fan to be able to follow along watching something like that at the same time as big movies coming out. And I think that's still kind of the gap that they're trying to do, like these are the little things that you watch that will set you up for the bigger things, right? Because without the little things, and this is like kind of a year, maybe it's a year in review, without the little things like Loki, like, and all these things setting up and opening your palette kind of for the bigger things that are going to come along, and that's the payoff, whether that's Loki, whether that's Hawkeye, whether that's Falcon. Do you know what I'm saying? So this, in a way, what I'm saying is like, I'm okay with like toning down my expectations kind of with it a little.
Sure.
Yeah,
Sure.
sure.
Me too.
I
think
mean, I don't think they just threw Daredevil in the last Spider-Man movie for no reason.
Yeah.
oh no.
I think it's kind of like, Spider-Man's tangled with Kingpin. I don't even know how many times
Bunch.
in comics. So I think there's something. Even if he does appear in this, I think we're gonna see Daredevil appear in Spider-Man movies. I think that's a fun prospect to think about. I don't think we'll ever see us. It's clear we won't ever see Spider-Man in any Disney shows because reasons.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh yeah. Fair.
but I'm excited about that. I've been thinking while we've been talking just about.
Man,
I
you need to do something about your mic. You are going in and
Oh
out a
no,
bunch. Is there
oh
a
no.
connection? Does it like
This
connect
is
into?
not where I normally broadcast from.
Oh,
Everything's good. Whatever. Next time, not only will I have better internet, I will have a new mic and all that. So,
right.
in
It
any
might just be
case,
internet.
maybe. I was going to say, I was going to ask Tim, do you
Hmm.
know, does the Kingpin ever? I find it weird that they had the cutaway gunshot. Like they didn't even need to have that. They wanted to give her character closure. It's a dramatic moment. I don't know about all that. Kind of where or at least my head is right now. Maybe I'm giving them credit, but maybe does the Kingpin ever go through some sort of transformation in the comics?
What?
And I don't know, physical. Maybe this is a moment where he's not quite the typical Kingpin anymore. Maybe he's a different version, a different form. I don't know. I thought that might be a door for that they
One that wears Hawaiian shirts. I love it, dude.
Yeah, that was a little weird for me.
That was weird.
I was like, did they just forget he was wearing? Did
Hawaiian
he come
Kingpin.
in that day to work, and then they were like, "Yeah, just put on this jacket," and he was like, "All right," and then they shot it.
It's Christmas in New York. I look like I'm on spring break in fucking
just
Hawaii.
gotten in. I don't know. So
the tiki bar, I think, is from the comics too. Actually, if I'm not mistaken, there is an actual that's taken from one of the the storylines where Kingpin is like owning a tiki bar. I'm pretty sure I've seen that somewhere.
He owns a billion things.
So that's that I understand. Like there's maybe some other nerds can pick up on that.
They already did the only thing I can think of as far as that's close to a transformation, and there may be something more. I'm not an expert on the Kingpin, although I know more about him than some of the other characters. And it's when he goes to prison and then gets out, he becomes a reformed person, and that's kind of what you saw is in the third season, where he was a little more refined, a little pulled back, and at the end of the series they let him, he builds out that rage.
He's way more unstoppable than he ever was in Daredevil's. It seems even Daredevil, he was already a pretty freaking badass, but this one, I don't know. Like, dude, he survived a giant freaking explosion. Like,
yeah, I mean,
he's supposed to be a big badass.
His strength, in like the Spider-Man cartoon, he was like really strong and stuff like that in a comic booky way. In this show, he suddenly became that. He threw people across the room with great ease.
Which I'm like, yeah, that's
which is really interesting because I feel like he was strong already in Daredevil, but they gave him even more made him even more OP.
Here's my other thing on this is you've got the Netflix show, and that's kind of, you're like, cool, we're gonna take that character, but it is, and we have to all kind of do this. It's basically like getting top shelf liquor watered down. They're not gonna give us that dark, gritty, intense of a character. Even Matt Murdock's going to be a little less gritty than he was.
I'm more okay with that.
I'm worried then for Punisher. I'm worried then for Jessica, because those are the whole reason, and even Luke to a certain extent too, because Luke covers some things. Luke will fit in just fine. Luke, if I would be more worried about Luke if it wasn't for the fact they did actually a pretty good job with Falcon, and that kind of touched on those type of topics already. So Disney already decided that they are okay with approaching those kind of issues. So Luke, I think, would be really interesting to see, but that worries me because Punisher is so incredibly dark. He deals with
could get a rated R, because you're getting a Deadpool rated R. Disney is we're gonna make it rated R. The first Disney produced rated R movie is Deadpool 3. And so that gives hope for guys like the Punisher and a future Wolverine and Logan type movie and all that stuff. So we're gonna, hopefully they're not gonna over Disneyfy their rated R movies and that stuff like that, and they'll really try to keep.
It'll be interesting to see how they handle that. I don't know.
Yeah, I am a little, but I mean, I think with Deadpool, I think we're going to be okay, because Ryan Reynolds is so heavy-handed in that character that I think they'll let him do it, and it's proven that it will succeed even when it has a subpar story that's going to make near $1 billion. So they're maybe just let them do their thing. It doesn't have to even be part of the MCU. But with guys like Punisher is where I'm more worried, because what we got was so intense at moments.
It shines a light real lot into
what's going to come through.
It shines a lot of light into mental health issues that I think especially these days is very poignant, and also kind of living in an era of massive disinformation and also things like that. I think it's things that I don't know how willing Disney would be willing to dive into a Punisher series. He may appear in another. It'd be interesting to see a She-Hulk defend Punisher as one of her clients. That would be kind of interesting, actually. To have that as a scenario where Charlie Cox is I can't like we need a fresh set of eyes on this or something like that, you know, like I don't know, but like a full like copy to copy, like it's after what they did with Kingpin, it's looking not so good with some characters.
I don't know. I am not feeling hopeful for the future. Just talking about all. I get that it's hard to like capitalize on past success and something you didn't really have.
Yeah.
But I don't, just this show and like Eternals, and I gotta be honest, besides Spider-Man, which was technically Sony, not even.
I mean, Marvel. That was a Marvel movie.
Okay,
like,
it was. Look, I get it. It was because of the grandiose sense, and he obviously had a much. Feige, it seemed, would have a much heavier hand in this one than he had past two Spider-Man movies. But I don't know. Nothing else is really like. I mean, obviously, like Quan-Chi was good.
Quan-Chi.
Sorry, that's what I said. I meant Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi was good. I liked it.
Shang-Chi was fine. It was okay.
Hey, Shang-Chi in San Francisco with Ant-Man. I'm saying.
I think it would have been better if it just like, I don't know, just more like back to basics kung fu and less like giant
Dragon
CGI dragon shenanigans. I was kind of like, okay.
But I mean, the movie itself was good. The story was good.
But that and Spider-Man have really been the only, in my opinion, successful movies. And even Shang-Chi was just good. It wasn't, obviously Spider-Man is on a whole other tier.
I mean, if you think of the original 4 or 5 movies, they were not all great. You had Iron Man.
I agree, but that's not where we're at, man. Mm-hmm. We're coming off of Phase 3, which had some greatest MCU movies ever.
Yeah, but
and it just feels kind of like. So, do you think they're doing that on purpose? Like they're making them like not as like grandiose or fun?
Definitely,
go back to
definitely.
Okay,
you have
that
to.
Makes sense.
You can't just expect. You can't be at 11 all the time.
I think it's incredibly difficult because the thing is okay, like you have to think about like the other things they weaved in, right? And like, and he like. Tim's right, like the peaks and valleys. Like we're on a valley right now. Like they came off the high, and they gave us a really good show first right off the bat. I think WandaVision, now looking back, is like maybe one of the top 2, top 3 at least out of all the shows they've done. Top like show. maybe 1 or 2 in some people's opinion. At least, well, 1 or 2, but between Loki and it for sure, I would say is WandaVision, right? So it's a pretty big high. They went WandaVision, Loki, and then they went to Falcon. And then I guess you could throw in What If.
What If counts technically,
which is really What If, which I think is really one of maybe more of the high point actually. And then that's the only reason why I say top 3 is because I think What If is like really, really good. Like I really enjoy What If.
What If has more implications for the universe than some of the other ones.
Yeah, What If was like really good. Again, it's kind of like the Animatrix. Like who would have thought? Like like just goes to show like animation. Or a different visual, medium can actually be successful, even on, so.
DC has proven that animation can be successful because it's the best shit they've ever made. So, again, I lost the fucking point. It's like before the podcast again. I can't remember what I was going to say.
We were talking about the Kingpin and like characters and how they can maintain their darkness in the MCU.
Oh, okay. I was going with, yes, valleys. We're in a valley, Pecan Valley, and they've given us it's a valley because they were testing out some waters. They're like, we've got some new ideas. We're going to try a few things with the TV shows, and those seem to be doing pretty well. Hits and misses, but overall, I mean, for all of the shows that they've made, I mean, none of them have been bad in my opinion. I know that there's some debate on Falcon and Winter Soldier with Dan, but other than that, like none of them have been like, this is horse shit and I feel offended and fuck you very much.
The first 2 episodes of this Hawkeye was bad.
Not great.
Shout out to the Aaron Rodgers. The Rodgers musical, dude. Like, I think that shit is. They put it everywhere. It was in Spider-Man 2, so it goes to show that this was happening at the same time, Spider-Man and Hawkeye, which we were wondering about how everything kind of lines up, which is great because that means.
Was that in Spider-Man?
Yeah, dude. Spider-Man swings by a Rodgers the musical billboard, so it lets us know that everything is happening, and this goes back to what I'm saying is that experience of like full immersion in the Marvel universe with Disney Plus and the movies coming out. So
I'm just thinking about Toby and Andrew the whole time.
Hats off to them for like, you know, like they are trying to cater to a wide gambit as much as they literally are just like, let's just every direction they can, and hopefully like some problem with that is that it'll stick only a little bit for, you know, every single person will have a small like negligible percentage of interest in whatever it is they put out, right? Because they're trying to cater to all these people. It's like,
some kids like, I loved Hawkeye, it was the best thing in the world.
It's the best thing in the world. I'm gonna get like a Nerf like bow and arrow sales went up by like for Christmas. Like,
good for them. Love what you love. Enjoy it. I want someone to enjoy this like it's their fucking Bible. Like, good for them. It was
nice to have something lighter. Not with huge stakes the whole time.
It's funny also to have like, you know, to be a Kate Bishop and to be a LARPer and to do the like, it was a very funny ode to like somewhat of geek culture, because and is a little bit meta, you know, like what it's like to be like a celebrity and what it's like to be like compared to other people, especially an archery person. It's like, that's a really big, like, oh, I didn't know that's like a female Hawkeye over there. He's like, no, that's Katniss Everdeen, you know, like just like little things like that I think I can appreciate, because like this show didn't take itself that seriously, you know, and that's okay. And that's okay. And for the holidays, I'm okay with taking that kind of, you know, journey with Marvel, you know, and spend my holidays with Marvel. Yeah. You know, I'm okay with that. Like,
I think especially with what's coming up, I am a little bit more excited now, because we've got, you know, again, stakes are going to be on the table with oh my God, Strange, and that's going to be good.
Wanda, we finally get that payoff for Wanda, which is like
WandaVision. That's
like,
gonna be
think
exciting.
About like how like
for that.
And that's the only thing is like, I'm hopeful in the sense because Wanda was so great as a show, and it's the first show, and then now like without WandaVision, you would not nearly be so excited to see to be, you know, like you wouldn't have that investment in that character when she shows up in Doctor Strange. So like hopefully that's the thing they're going to do with all the movies. First Wanda, like who knows if we're going to get to see Loki, like this Loki, who knows?
I hope.
Who knows? For sure we might see Kang, but who knows? Sylvia and Loki, like
who knows? I love it.
Like if that was possible, I would be so grateful. Like I would be so happy. So like when like the Young Avengers come together, like hopefully this will all pay off. Like when you know when what's his face? What's the name of the general and his group?
Oh,
what? Say it again.
Hulk. From Hulk.
Ross?
General Ross?
Like
General
Ross.
Thunderbolt Ross.
Yeah, the Thunderbolts. Like when they do the Thunderbolts with all that and Madam Web and all that. Like not Madam. What's it called? Madam
Web.
Hi, Madam Hydra.
Amazing.
Madam Hydra. Like when they put all that together, like it's gonna be good because like you would have had this lead up and you would have like known these characters and grown to know. So it's like I'm okay with like this kind of slow roll of introduction of characters. So that's fine. Like whatever.
Low bar. And these dates might be wrong, so I'm because they keep changing them. But like in I think this order, we're gonna get Doctor Strange in a few months. We're gonna get Thor: Love and Thunder a couple months after that. Black Panther 2 sometime in November. We've got a new character who's being put into a movie, which I'm pretty sure we'll see somewhere else. Moon Knight. That'll be interesting. Oh no, that's
I'm
a Disney
excited
Plus
for that.
show. Sorry.
Moonlight is Disney Plus.
Then we get
She-Hulk.
more
murder from
with
heroes, dude. Straight up murder. I'm so tired of like not murder.
Oh damn.
And then Miss Marvel, the TV show, Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. That'll be interesting. Then you get The Marvels, which I'm also I mean I think that's going to have some bigger implications on the universe than we're thinking.
True, probably.
Than the last one. Guardians 3 in 2023. Ant-Man and the Wasp, like they're doing stuff. I don't know. Then you get the I Am Groot show, which I'm like, okay, I guess, sure. That's a weird one. Marvel Zombies, and then we're just into like random. Zombies. Did you guys hear they're doing an Agatha House of Harkness spin-off? Which I'm like, good.
That's pretty cool.
She was a solid character. I'm excited for that. Oh, and then they got the Armor Wars. Oh, they got some good
Armor
stuff.
Wars, yeah.
Echo, Ironheart,
I have something to talk about.
Secret.
Secret Invasion.
Secret Invasion coming along.
For that. I've been reading the line, and it seems that somewhere around the same period of time that Marvel said they were in talks with Mr. Keanu Reeves.
Yeah.
Somewhere along the line, we found our Ghost Rider.
Yeah.
I like that idea. I you probably have a little wait with Ghost Rider for you, but I think that's great personally.
What, they're not going to use Nicolas Cage?
I mean, they already have the perfect one, Sam Elliott. Because he was in the first, he was in it, and he was like an old
the Marlboro Man as Ghost Rider. Why not?
They should skip Johnny Blaze and go straight to, I do not remember the character's name because I stopped reading or reading into it, but what's his name? They did him on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. They brought him in, and he has a car instead of a motorcycle, and I think it would translate better to today. I think it would be a better than Johnny Blaze. I really hope that Keanu gets something better than Ghost Rider.
That's pretty okay. Like what?
Didn't they say?
Honestly, I don't even want him in the universe. I'm gonna be honest.
Robbie.
I think he should stay.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, like, let him keep doing his indies, his John Wick. He does a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think Keanu's character and style would translate to Marvel as well.
I think Ghost Rider is perfect for him. Like, he already kind of dresses like that anyway.
Yeah.
And I think he could be a tortured individual for sure. I don't know. Okay.
I just want him to stay a little bit more away from like
Robbie Reyes.
Hottest people. Robbie Reyes, thank you. But like, I think just it's gonna be hard to not see Keanu Reeves. It's gonna be hard to not see Neo. It's gonna be hard to not see.
You could
John
say that with
Wick.
any notable actor. I mean, I know y'all just saw Angela
Iron Fist,
Eternals, but it was still good. You know what I mean? You got to give him a little time to get into it.
Yeah,
I think it'd be fine. There's not much left, to be honest.
Johnny Silverhand.
I mean, it seems like that's funny. It seems like at some point, I feel like most actors are gonna be in a Marvel point in their lives. Seems that way. But who knows?
I feel like it was built on not as big of star power, kind of like the Avengers. The Avengers were never really the A-list superheroes in the universe. They were a group, but like their top A-list was like, Wolverine, X-Men, Spider-Man, Fantastic Four. Those were like the main staples of Marvel, and the Avengers were cool. Yeah, Iron Man, Captain America, Thor.
It's like everybody else you put left over in a team.
Yeah, and like you kind of have at the time, it's really hard to not think of them as like mega stars right now, but like, Robert Downey wasn't doing a whole lot before he got Iron Man. In fact, he was fairly disgraced and people didn't really care about him. It was a big risk.
Like, that's what made Iron Man so great. It was his redemption of both the character and the actor himself, and that's like a beautiful story.
Perfect. Then Chris Hemsworth as Thor, like, who the hell is Chris Hemsworth? Like, nobody knew who this guy was. Chris Evans really didn't. He had some note.
He did Fantastic Four.
From Fantastic Four,
cocky blonde guy.
He did some other movies that were okay, but he wasn't like, he wasn't Brad Pitt level. Like, this is the guy, and Mark Ruffalo, I think, was
hilarious.
Mark Ruffalo was maybe one of the more seasoned actors they brought in. He'd been in dramas and a bunch of stuff. I didn't really care for him.
The glue
before
that held it all together.
ScarJo was arguably the biggest name that they brought in.
True.
Other than Sam Jackson as well.
Sam Jackson, the biggest name they brought in.
Jeremy Renner, like, who the fuck was that before this? So like,
you were from The Town.
Yeah, they built. No, I think that came out after even.
That came out after.
I don't remember, but they built it more on lesser known actors, and it isn't until now or more recently that you kind of start to see more well known. You got Angelina Jolie, you've got Paul Rudd, who kind of was brought in for that, and a couple others I can't think of off the top of my head, other than like Sam Jackson. So it's the more notable character or actor that you have, I feel it's going to pull away from the character that they're portraying on the screen. And I think that's what one thing Marvel really did very well is finding the perfect person and not just buying star power to sell tickets. And I think that's what would happen is if they put, to me, Keanu Reeves in the universe, because he's a hot commodity. He may not be the best actor on the face of the planet, but he is a hot commodity right now. Everything that he's in, people are like, "I'll watch it. I don't give a fuck." Bill and Ted.
People
3,
really like
sure,
Keanu
let's
Reeves.
do this thing.
I feel
Despite
that way
whatever
as well.
acting things, every story you've ever heard about him makes you love that man even more. You're like,
Oh,
God,
I mean,
he's so great.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
He's so great. He's such, and like all the funny little things that are on the internet, just like makes. He finally explained the story of him like looking sad and eating a sandwich. He's like, you know what was going through my head? Man, I'm really hungry. Like, and he like finally told the story. I was like, wow.
My favorite Keanu quote was when, what's his name, the Late Show.
David Letterman?
No. He used to be. Oh my God.
Craig Ferguson.
No. I'm not the Late Show. It was one of those shows with. He was on. I feel like he was on the.
Graham Norton?
No. He was on the Daily Show first.
Colbert?
Colbert.
Thank you, Jesus Christ.
On CBS.
Stephen Colbert asked him. He asked him, "What do you think happens when you die?" And Keanu goes, "The people who love you will miss you." And I'm like, "Oh my God, that's the most beautiful thing I've
So
ever heard in my
deep.
life." Like
Every rose has its thorn.
Like it was so great.
Like from that guy, dude. Come on, like.
Oh my God, that's funny.
Every rose has its thorn.
Watching his interviews from back in the day, he's like, "All right, guys, look, I'm here to promote Bill and Ted," and like it was just such
like
a great movie, and like
so genuine.
energy. And now he's like, "Yeah, like I was doing the movie again with the Matrix, and like we jumped off of this building 47 times, and
I mean, he's had a rough life, dude.
but he's mellow. It's not bad. It's not like down. He's just so chill."
Yeah.
And that's why I think now he's John Wick more than he's Neo, because John Wick is just like, I'm just gonna go do things. I don't need to speak, So anyway, yeah. So I mean,
what I have a quick question. Also,
in review, Hawkeye was mediocre. No,
I have a quick final thing. Is going back to Samuel Jackson. Was it in Hawkeye that they said that Director Fury has been off planet for like? Did they say that briefly? I think
that might have been in Spider-Man.
Was that in Spider-Man? Okay. It's interesting to see some of what's going on behind the scenes with Shield, and now we finally get the payoff. Like big spoiler. That his wife is a Shield agent as well, or was a Shield agent, which makes a lot of sense.
Because he interacted with him in the second one, and then when he informs Spider-Man that he's been off planet, he's like, "Wait, 2 years? What? Okay.
So it's interesting to see where like what's going on with Shield, and like a little bit of like the like it's been a long time, I feel, since we've talked about like where Sam Jackson is, and we're like, especially after what happened in Marvel, Captain Marvel, and then also Spider-Man and all. Like there's just so many things that I'm curious as to see where this is going, and the backstory of what is going on with Shield. Like it doesn't, like, this is something it doesn't exist, but then like what is he doing? Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like if Shield doesn't exist,
scrolling it up with the Skrulls, for some reason.
So here's what he's doing. Oh God, I forgot about this entirely. So there's Secret Invasion. That's obviously going to be a thing, which is what he's been doing.
How are they going to do that though? After building,
he's supposed to show up with the Marvels too.
We'll get to that probably, but
he'll be a Miss Marvel from what it sounds like again.
Yeah, and then he had a group called the Secret Warriors, and there was a couple of characters from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. who ended up. Who kind of overlapped with this character. I want to say it was like Matt Fraction or Jonathan Hickman. One of those two wrote this. And it was like a little covert group that he had behind the scenes of not necessarily all entirely superhero people. So it did really kind of mimic Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but that's kind of more what he was doing for a while when S.H.I.E.L.D. disappeared. and like he wasn't in charge of anything, but he was building his little team as an insurgents team to kind of be like, oh, you guys, the world is going to shit without Shield. He's going to let it go and play his game, and it like kind of come in underneath and take back and recreate Shield and bring something like that back to the mainstream. So that could be kind of the direction that they're going with his character. I'm like, cool, give me a Secret Warriors, give me the Secret Invasion, and I'm super excited. They'll probably tie them in together because that was a really long run. But I just got excited for that because that was one of my favorite.
We miss you, Nick.
Comic books.
We miss you. That's all I gotta say. I love them.
And I'll see if I can drop the still into. I'll edit it into the video at some point.
For one of like the most quote unquote like just a regular human being, he has some really like he's had some really badass fucking like.
And the expression on his face never changes.
Yeah.
Right.
It's even more badass.
Yeah.
There is this, and I'll put it in the chat here for you guys to see it. Not in the, sorry, public. I don't know if I can do that. But they have a picture of him from what's going to be Secret Wars or Secret Invasion. He's got his big old beard, and he doesn't have his eye patch on, and it looks cool. Check it out in the Discord. And I'm like, okay, so he's a little more weathered. He's a little removed from Shield, and he's doing his own thing. So I'm like, cool, that looks kind of fun. Okay, we could talk about Marvel for like ever.
Right.
So let's go to the wind down. Let's go with, and we've had some time to think. Not that anybody's been thinking.
Not really.
Let's do our not a year in review. I want to do that in a different episode, but I do want to do our favorite movie of the year. We can go TV show too if you want to include something that's related. Our least favorite and something that surprised us that we really didn't anticipate enjoying as much as we did. Doesn't have to be the best movie in there, but you're like, I call those actually movies where you're like, actually, that was pretty good. So, yeah. Does anybody want to go first?
I'll go first if no one else
Dan.
wants to. Okay, here we go. So I'll start with things I didn't like because I'm me. First 2 episodes of Hawkeye, just barely got through them. Whatever. Eternals, as I told Tim, it was an okay DC movie. Not good. And I just my big thing for me, just this DC movies, and even further than that, the supposed Snyderverse that the public seems to for some reason wants so badly. No, like kill it with fire. Let a phoenix grow from the ashes. I did recently hear this. I don't know if this is a big thing or not, but apparently the new Flash movie is supposed to just wipe wipe everything, fresh start, and I more or less am okay with that. Whatever. They just cannot land something. They had to Marvel director to have one of their first like pretty good movies ever in Suicide Squad. And even that was just kind of like, all right, this is fine.
I enjoyed it.
It's better than literally anything else, like maybe Wonder Woman, which even that's probably on par with just 2 different kinds of movies, apples and oranges. I hope but all they have to do the way they make their animated movies, and people would be happy with that for the most part. Anyway, that's my little tidbit there.
Your least favorite is Snyderverse? Is that what you're weighing in on? Is that
and pretty much I just
least favorite thing of 2021
DC, is the DC movies.
Sure.
Step it up, DC. Lock it up.
Lock it up.
I obviously I liked Loki so much, and I like seeing a show have stakes for the bigger picture. I'm George. Thank you for getting me to go to the movie theater to see Dune. I don't know how much I would have small screen, but I can say with absolute certainty that I enjoyed it on the big screen. It was something to behold. And obviously, I liked Spider-Man. Holy crap. Still wiping off all the nerdgasm off my clothes. It's a great thing when just they do a good story. They give fans what they want, and boy, was it great to see it with you guys, with my friends. What a great experience.
So of those, what would you pick as your top out of the
As my
three?
top out of
Loki,
those,
Dune, or Spider-Man?
my top would be, but I would probably just go with Spider-Man.
Was I mumbling? Sorry.
No, I'm nothing.
He did a drum roll.
My actual answer, cut for time. But so we're just gonna say Spider-Man, most enjoyed thing of the year. And the surprise, though, this isn't a huge surprise. It was more like ending was a surprise for me, and huge spoilers for the most James Bond film
Oh, do not
incoming.
spoil that movie. I have not seen it. Do not spoil that movie. Do not.
You just took
For the love
all
of
the
God.
wind out of his sail.
Just say that was your surprise. No spoilers on that one, man. You know I cannot have that spoiled for me. Sorry.
And that was my surprise.
It was James Bond. That's all. I'm sorry, man. I have to watch it still. It's been busy.
I like to
guy.
end strong, so I'm really glad I got to end strong with feel.
Yeah. Sorry, guy. Should have
Fucking
prefaced that.
You just asked
George-
us to say things we liked. You didn't. We just was right before we started.
I said favorite movie. Favorite movie, least favorite movie, and surprise.
Surprise!
Favorite
That was my
movie.
surprise.
You can say James Bond. I just don't want you to spoil the movie for me.
All right, we'll leave it there.
George, you want to go or you want me to take it?
You can go ahead. I'm still thinking. I really don't like. I don't know about
fine.
dislike, so you go ahead.
I'm gonna go. So I'll get the favorite out of the way, which is no surprise to anybody here. Is Spider-Man. It stole the show for me out of anything I watched all year. It really was a great way to end 2021. And gave me everything I could possibly want out of a Spider-Man movie, live action, big screen. It was amazing. So that was my favorite by far. Least favorite. I mean, it's gonna be pretty close to me. Eternals was not great. It was not a good movie. Matrix was also not a good movie. I did not enjoy either of those. Man, I'm gonna give it to Matrix. Was my least favorite movie. I think I liked that less than I liked Eternals.
Ooh,
Yeah. Sorry. I guess. Maybe. Yeah. The third probably would have been Widow for me if I had to put three that I didn't like. And for me, my big surprise, which it shouldn't come as a surprise, but I really did end up enjoying this movie a lot more than I thought going into it, was Ghostbusters for me. I really it hit all of the nostalgia moments. The story was a story. It was a beginning, a middle, and an end. It replayed the same. They what did it? They Force Awakened it. They gave us the same kind of story again, but like you got the nostalgia factor. I liked it because it hit enough beats outside of the nostalgia to make it entertaining. The main character was just really well done, and the ending was just it was just what I wanted out of it.
It was weird having them show up all at the end in the last 10 minutes of
Yeah,
the movie.
I wanted
thought
more,
that was
but
especially after they went on Jimmy Fallon, and then to have them just show up in the last
missed
10
everything
minutes.
you said about Jimmy Fallon.
Just the original Ghostbusters on Fallon promoting
Yeah.
the movie, like we're
Yeah.
in the movie, and like I'm like, where are they?
Yeah.
There's not much time left. Anyway,
I think if I had a tie, maybe Cruella would be my tie for surprise because it came out of nowhere
good.
for me. Yeah, it was the acting, the story. It was, the only issue was I was like this. How do you tie this into the 101 Dalmatians story? I'm like, oh, I don't give a fuck. That's how you do it. Like it was cool. It was good to see. It had great cinematography. It was shot really, really well. Big fashion aspect of it was cool. So yeah, it was those two. But I think just nostalgia. I liked Ghostbusters a little bit more out of that one. George?
I don't really have any like I don't see. Usually, there's not like a strong enough opinion on a movie to say I dislike this movie. I don't waste time watching movies that I know I'm gonna dislike.
No,
so
George.
you know what I'm saying? Like except for
George's,
Rogue One, maybe, you know.
George's the Xanax.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, why would I go see this movie that I could potentially dislike? I pretty much
George's
avoid
least
that.
favorite movie was Rogue One.
Exactly. So
he watches it every year just so he can
just
say
so
he
I can
hates
remember
it
how
as the
much I
worst
hate it.
movie
Yeah,
of that
exactly.
year.
So not really much I don't hate. Can I end with can I start with surprise first? And then okay. My surprise actually was how good he was in
What'd you say? I missed it.
John Cena. How good he was.
Sure.
Like I'm excited to see like more of this character Peacemaker and like more of John Cena doing funny things. And so like because we're the three of us are wrestling fans. It's like good to see that there is life after WWE and that he's doing well. Like it's okay. Like I want to see that. He was surprise breakout. Like I didn't think it was going to be that good, but like that movie was good. But like I really enjoyed it.
You can tell
I liked it so much more because of him. Because if it wasn't for him, I don't think I would nearly enjoy that movie like half as much. So I'm happy about that. Like that was my big surprise. With Suicide Squad, in case anyone doesn't know what we're talking about, John Cena and Suicide Squad. That was my surprise.
Week and a half, you get to see more John Cena.
Yeah, it's kind of, I'm curious to see what he's gonna do. So good for John. Like, and then
Good for George.
And then as far as like movies that like I want to say like we took a huge step, like gonna shout out to like Asian people. We took a huge step, like especially like this last year. I know it's been like a slow build even from like movies as far as back as like Crazy Rich Asian and things like that, and like it's very hard for us to step, you know, it's like one step at a time, and we took a huge step. We had two really great like films from Disney, which is like Shang-Chi was like as good of like I can't ask for more. Like that was as good as I can expect, and I got what I wanted, and I'm okay with what I got with that. Like I'm happy with that installment. And then also Raya and the Last Dragon, like also a really great similar story but very good like, you know, cartoon that has a like we haven't had like an Asian centric like movie since like Mulan. So it's good to see like something that's goes back into that kind of culture again. I guess you can say Polynesian is Moana, but that's technically more two different cultures for anyone curious about that. So but that's great, so I'm happy about that. And then I would say honestly, like I go back to what Dan said, my favorite movie probably would be Dune. Like I think it delivered on what a lot of fans of the franchise have been asking for. It's obvious that they invested the money in a vision, and also I think that I'm a little worried because of how much money it took to make the first half of the film, and this was before like pandemic situation, and I'm a little worried as to what the franchise will have in the future, because like I don't see how you could shoot at such a large scale with so much money necessary in this current age of COVID, you know, seeing how we're going to a year 3 of it.
Yeah.
And so I'm hopeful, and I know they made enough money. I think to have a second movie, but the question is the company willing to invest in that sequel, which would be really sad if it just didn't work. And also, you know, the way it is with actors, there's a very small window of time, because as Zendaya and Timothée Chalamet become more and more popular in the next 3-4 years, like their shooting schedule becomes smaller and smaller, you know.
Yeah.
So like that's the problem with such a huge ensemble cast like Dune, right? So happy that they did a really good job with that, and I really do think it's my favorite movie. I saw it, and of course I recommend everyone go see it in IMAX if they still can.
Might still be out there somewhere.
Yeah.
I would like to revise my least favorite. I apologize. Venom 2. That's a no-brainer. I actually watched it, so I'm like, oh, of movies I had to watch, yeah, that one was going to be my least favorite. But yeah, anyway.
God, talk about the biggest disservice of the year to that actor.
I don't watch. This is why I don't watch movies.
I tried to have a conversation with someone about the end credit scene from Venom and the end credit scene from Spider-Man, and they hadn't seen Venom, and they're like, "Oh, don't spoil Venom." I'm like, "No, no, 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 no. You don't need to see Venom." They're like, "Oh, we're gonna watch them." No, don't watch them like at all. You
I'll
don't
save
need to
2
see the
hours of
movie.
your life.
Just go Google the end credit scene, and that's all that matters. Yeah.
I'm gonna say this right now. I have a hope for the future. They did it once with Mr. J.K. Simmons. Maybe they could just bring back a different version of Tom Hardy's character, so he can also be Venom, a better Venom.
Better Venom.
They're not.
I know, but
maybe
one can dream. Hey, they did it once. They opened the door with J.K. Simmons. I'm just saying that door's open.
Are we gonna end with what are we watching now, or or
watching, playing?
Smarch have a question? Or anything?
Oh my
no
God!
question this way. You didn't do your homework, Smarch.
We've
been going for like 2 hours already.
Okay, so let's just end with what you're watching now.
We can do it if you got time. If you're feeling it, we can
look,
go into it.
Mine was favorite character arcs, and we were all just going to talk about how great those character arcs for the half. So we can just say,
for anyone who can't understand choppy mic audio, he was going to say how great Zuko was. Sorry, guy. I know.
No, it's okay. Next time won't be.
Zuko here.
Zuko's was great. I think underrated. If we're just going to do it, we should just have an Avatar episode because we could talk about each of those characters.
Actually, that's
forever.
Exactly what we should do. We should have an Avatar episode.
Matthew was like, "When are you doing your Avatar episode? I want to be on it." I was like, "Oh my God!"
I was like, "I will tone my language down, and we can have him on."
I will not. I will not tone my language down. Just saying.
You barely swear in this as it is anyway.
Really? Well, yeah. Recommendations of what you're watching now. Let's go.
Yeah, go.
I will go first. I am once again watching the greatest television show. Everyone should watch it. It's called The Expanse. It's coming out every week on Friday. Start watching it. It's since its final season. New? But yeah, I mean, if I could put the best thing I watch, it's in 2021. That's it. But anyway, second thing.
You could have.
Well, it's like a weird thing because it always bridges the winter gap, so I don't know what to put in it. Then let's see, obviously Witcher, which I finished and everyone should watch as well because we're gonna do our next episode probably on it.
Yeah.
And then also Only Murders in This Building on Hulu. It's an interesting little
with Steve Martin.
Steve Martin.
Oh yeah,
what's his name? Short.
Martin Short.
And then of course Selena Gomez.
Wow.
Selena Gomez has some. Actually, Selena Gomez is I want to I'm not trying to downplay her acting career because I realized she was on a Disney show for several years. But I want to say she kind of is she holds her own. You would think somebody of her age can't hold their own against two veterans, amazing legends in comedy. But Selena Gomez held her fucking own against those guys. So I highly recommend you watch it, and it's a very intriguing story.
Sorry.
So if you have time, you have time, watch it. It's actually kind of interesting. It's a little bit more lighthearted than anything you'll see, but it kind of reminds me of if you guys have ever seen the show Pushing Daisies. It kind of has that feel to it.
Started it, never finished it.
What a great opportunity for her, and what a cool thing to. I bet those guys just create.
Funniest thing ever. She talked about is she showed the two of them, she introduced them to the music video, WAP. The WAP music video, and they're these two guys had no idea what WAP was, and she introduced that to them into their into their brain. I was like, oh my God! You just imagine Selena Gomez you guys don't know what this is, and then the two of them being just that moment alone is it's great to see that I love the idea. So. And that's why I was curious. I heard some interesting things about it.
It's called Two Girls, One Cup.
Yeah. No. We can't be talking about it. Next thing you know, my nephew's going to look it up. Stop.
Man. All right. Good for her, though. I think that's great.
Good for her.
What are you watching?
Witcher. Playing Stardew. Playing Smash on my brand new Switch. Thank you, friends.
Oh, you got a Switch, man? When did you get that?
Over Christmas. My friends kind of surprised me with it.
Congratulations.
I cried a little, even though there's no audio on the reaction video.
I had to cut that off.
It's
not
fine.
on. It's not on the thing because it was half
messed
of
it
it.
up.
And my camera angle was like down. I was like, I'm not putting this
It
up there.
doesn't matter.
Great job.
Is that what you're doing?
Hmm?
I'm watching Witcher. Um, I've been so busy. I guess I've been playing Far Cry 6 mostly, is what I've been doing. Finished it actually finally tonight, and there's it's good. It's worth it. I mean, I understand if you want to wait to the next gen because it has problems for sure on this console.
How
But
does the well we can talk how does story stack up?
good,
Past 5, 4, 3. You didn't play 3.
good. 4 still the better story. I feel this one is like 4 individual stories kind of overlapping, not exactly.
That's
So
fair.
you got the different like sections of the map like you did in 5,
Yeah.
but they're more like you're recruiting these people from these sections, and it you get more of their backstory. So it is good. You really kind of get to know the characters as you're building your little resistance, and it dives you in. I'm okay with the ending. I accidentally found the secret ending, which I thought was absolutely hilarious because all of them since what 3 even had a secret ending. But I won't tell you that, so you can find that one on your own. But it was super funny. I was just like, oh, nice,
Is
cool.
it something like in the beginning you do in the first 10 minutes and the game ends?
I think it's something you can do at any time.
Okay.
And
That's what the last
it
2
was
had.
yeah, and it was an accident, and I was like, oh, it was early on in playing too. I was like, I want to go there, and I went there, and the game ended. I was like, what the fuck? And then it loaded me back in.
Weird.
But yeah, been doing that. Witcher, Doctor Who, Korra. I just started Korra again. I haven't had the time to dive into. I am gonna watch Wheel of Time, I think is what it's called, the Amazon show.
Yes.
That's supposed to be real good. So I think that's the next show I'm actually gonna start. Because starting a new show
Is that
is like a
coming out
commitment.
weekly?
I have no idea.
Okay. I think
No
it is.
clue
I think
whatsoever.
it is.
Yeah. Gonna
I don't
wait.
know if it's any good,
Yeah.
but
It's
watch
got
Squid
great
Game.
reviews. People have
Yeah.
been saying it's excellent.
Big deal.
So I'm all for it. I'm there. Rosamund Pike. I've always been a fan of. So hopefully we'll enjoy it.
I was also going to say 2021 Squid Game.
Yeah.
Oh,
Big
Red
stuff
says
for
it's
Asian
already had the
culture.
finale. I guess it wasn't coming out weekly. I guess it's all out there. Kind of.
All right. Okay.
Good.
Nice, Red.
Thank you, Red.
I'll
Good
watch
looking
it.
out.
I'll definitely pick it up.
Yeah.
Weird fact I learned about Squid Game is that is based on something that actually kind of happened. So yeah, that's kind of intense.
And they've been trying to make it for several years,
should
for
happen.
almost a
Yeah.
decade. They've been trying to make it. So
Yeah.
big stuff for Asian culture.
All right.
Shout out.
So next time will probably be little Boba Fett, little
Witcher.
And then maybe we'll see if we can get together and do a one-off Avatar podcast and
Someday an
talk.
Avatar episode. Someday a wrestling episode. I feel I don't know if I want to do it, but I, feel like
I don't know if I want to do
happen.
wrestling. Sunday,
We can
a
do
Bears episode.
Yeah, and then nostalgia wrestling, exactly.
Nostalgia wrestling episode, and then
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do a Bears one. I love the Bears.
one.
Eventually, we'll do a Rogue One episode.
It'll be we'd for sure have to do. Yeah.
I'd love to be able to do a watch along Rogue One episode where we get to do over it. We couldn't do it on Twitch. We couldn't do it on YouTube. We could do it on.
We can't do it on Twitch.
No, we'd have to. I think
can't
there's
do
a
it on
platform
YouTube
that lets
either.
you do it.
We could cast it.
You could put it on Cast maybe, but that's about it.
Yeah, I think that'd be kind of cool.
Little Mr. Science Theater 3000 it.
Right?
Like making
Just
comments.
Sure. I like the movie though, so I'm gonna have.
I am the one with the Force, and the Force is the one with me.
Donnie Yen, man.
I love him. God, what was that?
Underutilized again.
Anyway,
yeah. All right. So generic sign off. Have a good night because we don't have a.
Zip it up and zip it out.
Where can you find us? You got to do that. Just do that.
The Modern Nerd on everything. I think I tweeted once. in the last couple months. I did a
So
tweet sometime.
discouraged. Every time he plugs, he's like, "I think I used it that one time." You guys
I'm
check
on
it out.
Instagram at the Modern Nerd. You can check that out. I usually try and put some stuff up there. I'm gonna be putting more up more recently, more actively on that one. Yeah, follow me there. Enjoy that. George, obviously we know where to find you. This is his channel.
Hi,
Thank you, George.
Dan.
GJC.
You can find me at Smash City. I never post.
Yeah. So follow me and George, and you'll be pretty well off at that point.
There you go.
That's right.
You guys have a wonderful time, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you, guys. Till next
All right.
time.
Till next time.